Hello everyone, and welcome to my Sister Wives For You channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. In a shocking courtroom bombshell that sent ripples through Sister Wives fandom and shattered the already fragile remains of the Brown family's once glorified plural unity, Cody Brown has finally been exposed in court over a secret land deal that left Christine and Janelle blindsided, betrayed, and absolutely devastated. What began as a quiet legal dispute over Coyote Pass spiraled into a full-blown exposé when a whistleblower revealed hidden documents that unearthed Cody's covert dealings involving the highly contested property, a move that didn't just surprise the court, but stunned his former wives, who had trusted him with their time, money, and future dreams. For years, the sprawling acreage at Coyote Pass had been symbolically portrayed as the family's collective legacy, a sacred place where each of the wives would one day build their dream home and live as one big happy family, in plural harmony. But now, that vision has turned into a nightmare. As it turns out, while Janelle was parking her RV and sacrificing basic comfort for the dream of home ownership, and while Christine was watching from Utah with lingering disappointment, Cody was allegedly cutting private deals behind their backs. According to court testimony, Cody met with a third-party land management firm and initiated a quiet reallocation process, one that consolidated a significant portion of the property under a trust controlled solely by himself and Robin. Legal filings showed that, while the original plan divided the property relatively equally among all spouses, the revised paperwork, signed and notarized in 2023, excluded Christine entirely, even though she had contributed financially to the initial land purchase and was publicly promised a share. As for Janelle, the documents claimed her section was tentative and subject to approval by the trust, essentially leaving her with nothing more than a conditional placeholder. Both women were completely unaware. The moment this evidence was presented in court, gasps filled the room. Christine, seated in the back in a sleek blazer and her signature composed expression, reportedly whispered, "I knew it," while Janelle's face crumbled into a mix of rage and heartbreak. The betrayal was layered, not just financial, but emotional. For years, both women had trusted Cody to handle legal matters related to the property. He presented himself as the logistical head of the family, the man who would take care of the land for the good of all. But in reality, he was scheming to seize control, rewriting the future in secret while Christine and Janelle were told to be patient or trust the process. In court, Cody attempted to defend himself, claiming it was an administrative correction and that the changes were intended to simplify taxation and future development. But the judge wasn't convinced, and neither were Christine and Janelle. Their legal team argued fiercely that Cody had intentionally omitted their names from official filings while allowing Robin to sign as a co-trustee, giving her legal control over large swaths of the property. Even worse, emails entered into evidence revealed that Robin was fully aware of the reallocation and even pushed for it, referring to Christine and Janelle in one leaked message as non-residents who forfeited their rights by walking away. Fans were stunned. The Robin-Cody alliance, long suspected by viewers, now stood fully confirmed, and uglier than ever. Janelle took the stand herself, emotionally recalling how she had invested her life savings into the property, lived off-grid, and defended Cody for years, only to discover that while she was roughing it in an RV, he was quietly planning a mansion-style expansion on his and Robin's designated portion. "I was lied to," she said, tears in her voice. "I believed in our family dream. I lived in discomfort, I sacrificed everything, and he erased me from the map." Christine's testimony was equally heart-wrenching. "I walked away because I thought the marriage was broken. I didn't know the dream was already dead," she said. "He used our trust and our belief in the family vision to enrich himself and Robin. It wasn't about unity. It was always about control." Courtroom observers said Cody sat stone-faced during both testimonies, only occasionally exchanging tense glances with Robin, who remained uncharacteristically silent throughout the proceedings. But the damage was already done. By the time closing arguments began, the court and the public knew the truth. Cody Brown had manipulated land ownership in a way that left his former wives disenfranchised, despite their financial and emotional investment. The judge ruled partially in favor of Christine and Janelle, ordering a forensic audit of all Coyote Pass transactions and demanding that Cody produce full financial disclosures regarding land taxes, development plans, and trust documentation dating back 5 years. Furthermore, the court froze any current construction or sale activity on the land until ownership could be resolved in a separate civil hearing. Social media lit up with outrage. Fans who had followed the Browns for over a decade poured support into Christine and Janelle's social feeds, commending them for their courage and slamming Cody for his manipulative tactics. Hashtags like #JusticeForJanelle and #ChristineDeservedBetter trended for days. TikTok creators broke down the courtroom drama with viral timelines, while YouTube commentators pointed to the long history of imbalance between the wives and how Cody always gave Robin preferential treatment. In a now-deleted Reddit post, an anonymous source claiming to be a former production assistant on Sister Wives said TLC executives were in crisis mode, unsure of whether to spin this in the upcoming season or shift focus entirely to the women's new solo lives. "There's no more family unity," the post read. "There's just Cody and Robin scrambling to control the wreckage." But for Janelle and Christine, the courtroom win wasn't just about legal restitution. It was about finally being seen. "We were gaslit," Janelle reportedly told a friend. "For years, we were told to wait, to believe, to have faith. But Cody was never building a future for us. He was building a kingdom for Robin." Christine, now thriving in Utah with husband David Woolley, posted a powerful Instagram photo shortly after the ruling, a selfie with the caption, "Freedom looks good on me." In the comments, fans flooded her with praise, with one writing, "You walked away from the man, but not from your truth. This is the closure we all needed." Cody, meanwhile, remains defiant. In a brief parking lot interview with reporters after the court session, he barked, "I did what I thought was best. I don't owe anyone an apology for trying to manage a difficult situation. They walked away from the family, not me." But no one was buying it. With his credibility in tatters, his public image crumbling, and his financial dealings under the microscope, it's clear that the patriarch who once stood tall as the leader of a plural family is now just a man grasping at the pieces of a broken empire. The courtroom revealed not just a fraudulent land deal, but a man who weaponized trust, abused his role, and destroyed the very foundation he claimed to protect. And as Christine and Janelle rise from the ashes with newfound strength, Cody is left to face the cold, hard truth. The women who once followed him in faith have now found power in walking away, and the world is finally watching him with eyes wide open. It was a courtroom packed not with strangers, but with ghosts of a once-shared dream. What had started as a vision of unity, plural love, and a sprawling family compound in the Arizona desert now lay shattered under fluorescent lights and the weight of legal affidavits. And there, sitting under oath in the witness box, was Cody Brown, no longer the confident, charismatic patriarch of Sister Wives, but a man whose carefully constructed house of spiritual polygamy and familial harmony had come crumbling down because the truth, harsh, ugly, undeniable, was about to be exposed, not in whispers behind closed doors, but in front of judges, attorneys, former wives, and a stunned audience who had once believed in the picture-perfect image Cody so often presented, and at the heart of it was a secret land deal, an underhanded transaction involving the now infamous Coyote Pass property, where dreams of a communal Brown family estate had once been promised like gospel. But behind the scenes, while Christine and Janelle had been scraping together funds for their children, living in RVs, renting modest homes, and trusting Cody's grand plans, he had been engaging in silent dealings that excluded them entirely, quietly transferring parcels of the land into an LLC, one they hadn't even known existed, and listing only Robin's name as a joint title holder alongside his own. A betrayal not just of business ethics, but of decades of shared belief and sacrifice. And as the court proceedings began, sparked by Janelle's desperate attempt to gain legal access to her portion of Coyote Pass after realizing she had no documentation, Emails were subpoenaed, deeds examined, and a dark pattern emerged, one that painted a picture of manipulation, deceit, and emotional coercion masked as spiritual leadership. And Christine, who had already emotionally and physically distanced herself from Cody after years of feeling unloved and unseen, sat in stunned silence as the attorney read aloud a clause from the land deal Cody had signed months earlier, explicitly stating that her name would never be included in any future claim to the land, citing her departure from the family as cause for exclusion. Never mind that she had spent years raising children in that family, contributing financially, emotionally, and physically to the life they had built. And when Christine's attorney presented receipts, texts, and emails showing that she had helped pay for surveyors, construction deposits, and even property taxes, the courtroom went quiet and Cody shifted in his seat, jaw tight, trying to explain how it was complicated, how the family dynamics had shifted, how Robin needed security, and how Christine had opted out of the family when she left. But the judge wasn't interested in spiritual spin or emotional justification, only in legal facts. And Janelle, who had long defended Cody even when his affection had clearly shifted toward Robin, looked devastated, not just by the financial betrayal, but by the emotional realization that the man she had trusted to protect their collective future had been carving up their dreams behind their backs. And perhaps the most painful moment came when the court revealed a bank transfer history, one that showed funds pooled from the family account, including contributions from Janelle and Christine over the past decade, had been used as collateral for a mortgage on a luxury home for Robin and her children, without Janelle or Christine's knowledge or consent. And though Cody tried to argue that the funds were family money and thus under his discretion, the court's financial expert testified that the account had been unilaterally controlled by Cody, with no transparency or shared access, and that despite claiming to be spiritually married to all four women equally, Cody had only legally married Robin, a fact known to viewers but now, under legal scrutiny, exposed as the foundation of the favoritism Christine and Janelle had long suspected but hoped wasn't true. And as the proceedings continued, Cody's defense began to unravel further when a whistleblower, an accountant once hired by Cody to assist with financial planning for the Coyote Pass project, testified that he had raised red flags about the property title distribution years ago, warning Cody that if all wives weren't listed as equal owners, it could lead to legal and ethical consequences. And Cody had reportedly dismissed the concerns, stating, "Only Robin's house needs to be protected, the others can fend for themselves." And gasps filled the courtroom, not just from observers, but from Christine, whose face crumpled at hearing out loud what she had feared for years, that her loyalty had been transactional, her sacrifices disposable, her role as mother of 6 of Cody's children seen as less worthy than Robin's carefully curated place in his life. And even Mary, silent through much of the proceedings, sat stone-faced in the back, perhaps processing that her own years of estrangement from Cody had spared her deeper entanglement in this mess, though not the emotional betrayal that came with realizing just how far Cody had drifted from the man they all once believed in. And when the judge finally ruled that the property in question must be frozen and reassessed, and that Cody could face civil penalties for mismanagement of shared funds, there was no triumphant cheer from Christine or Janelle, only stunned silence, the kind that comes when a truth finally lands so heavy it knocks the breath from your body. And afterward, outside the courtroom, cameras flashing, Christine held her head high but tears brimmed in her eyes as she said simply, "He promised we'd build a life together. He built it without us." And Janelle, ever steady at it, this wasn't just about land. It was about trust. And it's gone now. And as news outlets reported the scandal, social media exploded with sympathy for Christine and Janelle, fans who had watched their journey for over a decade now rallying behind them, calling for justice, for accountability, and for the show to shift its focus from Cody's crumbling patriarchy to the resilience and rebirth of the women he had left behind. And in the weeks that followed, while Cody retreated from the public eye, citing media bias and personal attacks, Christine launched a new platform advocating for financial literacy for women in plural marriages, using her own experience as a cautionary tale, and Janelle began a legal consultation group for women seeking exit strategies from non-traditional unions, determined to ensure that no other woman would be left financially vulnerable in the name of spiritual unity. And though they had lost land, they had gained freedom, a truth that rang louder than any court ruling. And in the end, it wasn't just the court that exposed Cody Brown. It was his own choices, laid bare under the harsh light of legal scrutiny, and the realization that for all his talk of family and faith, when it came time to protect what they had built, he had chosen secrecy over partnership, control over transparency, and one wife over all the rest.